Yes, folks, hello, welcome once again to MoDXtra Games and Collectibles. I'm Chris, this is my channel, and it's an absolute pleasure to have you with me here today. And you'll have seen the thumbnail. Today's video is going to be all about the leaks that have been, well, leaking out over the last couple of weeks. J-Khan 7, whoever they may be, has been up to their old tricks again, snuck their potato camera in through the back door in the workshop and taken some pictures and spread them around. I specifically caught wind of these from Chris, Diagnostic B.A.T, over at the Full Force podcast. Link in the description down below to his Facebook page where I saw them. But yeah, let's get giddy. Well, sort of giddy. I've got these leaks. I don't know if they're a help or a hindrance. I don't know if they're a good thing or a bad thing. I've spoken about the leaks before, whether it's ruining the experience a little bit. But I have looked at them and I have got giddy about them. And so I'm going to stick with that. I'm going to stay with the positive and just talk about what's excited me about these pictures that I've seen floating around. And maybe I'll do another video about why the leaks are a drawback and not so great after all. But giddiness. And let's get things started by looking at the retro carded leaks that we've had. And there's been 3 figures, maybe 4, that are retro card leaks that have made their way out the back door, courtesy of J-Khan 7. And let's kick things off with CoverGirl. So CoverGirl here is looking pretty good. Certainly significantly different enough that for someone like me who's not all that keen on buying too many repeat characters, there's been enough of a change for me to justify perhaps picking this one up over the CoverGirl that I already own. Who, to be fair, I was pretty into, actually. The face, sometimes from some angles, catches me off guard, but otherwise, overall, I enjoyed the figure and had a lot of fun at the time she arrived, although I must admit she stays in the box a lot. I don't get her out quite as often as I do the likes of Lady J and Baroness and such like. But looking at this picture that's leaked out, it's largely, you know, a totally different figure. The only thing I think by sight is the same, is the shirt. Otherwise, the coat's new, the legs are new, the boots are new. Obviously, the head sculpts are completely new as well. And that's great. You know, I love getting hand swaps, head swaps in to add value to the purchase. 2 different looks. The baseball cap looks fun. The other one, the one with the long hair, sort of draped down the back, it's got a bit of a kind of Marvel Legends flat face vibe to it. Which I'm not too sure about, but that may be to do with the angle at which the picture's being taken. I can only assume with these leak pictures that they're having to like line it up and take the shot super fast, and so they're not really giving us a nice optimal look. But if that second head sculpt's pretty solid as well, which it might be, she's got the big smile, she's got the big blonde wavy hair. You know, if your CoverGirl is the long blonde haired CoverGirl, then this will suit you down to the ground, and I'm definitely into it. Got a decent accessory selection there. The classic animated series laser rifle, got a handgun, got a wrench, and a big sledgehammer, which could make for some fun pictures and some fun kind of, you know, diorama display type stuff. So I'm into that. Hand swaps, as I've already mentioned. Yeah, overall, I think this leak is filling me with encouragement for the new CoverGirl. I was just a bit like, well, if it's basically the same figure but with a new head sculpt, I could probably drop it on the skip list, you know, just in the interest of budget and, you know, collection management and what have you. But this is significantly different enough and offering me enough that I think I'm in on this one. It's definitely got me excited, got me a bit giddy over the new CoverGirl, and I think it's a nice addition. And this is where retro should be at, shouldn't it, really? Then your mainline one and your retro one should, you know, the retro should literally offer you that retro in-hand experience, and the mainline should be more of the kind of classifiedized reinterpretation. And this feels like that might be more the case with this character. And that's not the only character that I feel like this with as well, because the retro carded Flint has been leaked too. And this one, again, I feel is enough of a change, although it's marginal, but it's enough of a change that it would warrant the purchase. Now, a retro-looking Flint has been on my wish list for a while, so I'm obviously going to be excited about this one. I dug out a couple of my old Action Force comics here, and, you know, look at that. You know, we'll go back to the retro leak in a minute, but, you know, this sort of thing, these are the kind of poses and displays for my own little photographic entertainment I want to be able to do, and this retro figure definitely represents that. There's one, let me get issue 2 here. 1 second, let me find the page. Got this picture, which when I was a kid was around. It was in every issue, the you know, the subscription to the magazine. It was the newsagent posters had this on it as well. And we've got the hand swap. We've got the pointy fingers. In fact, let's go back to it. He's got the pointy finger there, so I can do the subscription. The shotgun is just like the one that, I remember from this. That's not a good one. Where's the one where he's bullying Destro? There we go. It looks just like this shotgun that he carried and used. And you have to remember, folks, for UK readers of the Action Force comic, this is where my G.I. Joe love comes from. Flint was the main dude. He was more often the main dude than, than Duke. He was around everywhere. And a lot of the UK uniquely written stories, he was the top dog. He was an SAS guy. He was born in Hampshire, in my law. So very excited to see this one. As far as the figure itself goes, nice to see that he's pinless. It's reused body parts, but it's new for the Flint character. I think those are the Outback legs. Are they the Outback legs, folks? Someone let me know otherwise, but it's the Outback legs and boots. The open shirt, I think, is the same as the original Flint. The rolled up sleeves are from Recondo, but that's all fine. It's uniformality. They're military guys, aren't they? The webbing design is just like the classic look. Kept the black shirt on the green combats, which is part of his visual identity, along with the beret, which is solid. And then you got some nice additions, like a couple of extra hands, not just a straight up 2-hand swap for fists and trigger fingers, but you got the claw and the pointy finger. The backpack's a nice addition. Yeah, all round, he says, checking his script. Yeah, all round, very happy with this one. The only thing, again, is the angle of the way the photo's taken. Is the head sculpt a little bit shaky? Even if it is, and you prefer the head sculpt on the original mainline figure, I'm sure you'll be able to do a little swap-a-do. The hat's, it's not the same beret, is it? That's a different beret there, because that's not the one that's in the leak picture. So, yeah, all round, Retro Flint, again, like CoverGirl, is distinctly different enough and fulfilling a certain purpose in my wants, needs, and desires as a G.I. Joe classified collector, wanting to replicate my favourite scenes from the old Action Force comic books that, I'm into it, and this will probably be a pre-order for me when it finally comes around. And that's the point I was kind of alluding to earlier. The leaks are a bit of a hindrance now, because when they do finally get round to dropping this guy on screen in a stream, I'm going to be like, yeah. I've already got excited about that. And now I've impatiently waited for ages, and he looks just like the leaked picture. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, I said I'd keep that for another video some other time, so I'm going to move on. Cobra got a couple of retro card characters that have leaked as well, the first of which is the B.A.T here. I know there's some folks excited about this one, because the main thing that draws your eye here is the more animated series accurate colour scheme, so the red faceplate and the kind of more vivid yellow compared to the kind of mainline version. But other than that, it's exactly the same sculpt. The accessory selection is largely the same as well. The damaged helmet, the different chest plates, the different arm swap-a-doody things with the backpack for storage. That's all much the same. I think the flamethrower and the laser rifle are nice, with a little bit of paint application on there to give it a bit of depth and texture and colour, bit of pop. And the fact that they've included a couple of like shooty effects in the mix as well is a nice touch. But I'm not so focused on having an animated series accurate B.A.T in my collection. And also, I think there's a question of like, do we need another B.A.T? I suppose if you're really into the cartoon, you grew up with a cartoon, which I suspect many of my North American viewers did do, and so probably more excited about this than I, then this could appeal to you. And if you're seeking to army build and expand your B.A.T collection, your army built B.A.T collection, then I'd be keen to see how this one stands alongside, the mainline version of the character, and whether they fit aesthetically all right next to one another, so that you can, if you couldn't get your hands on many of these the first time around, whether you could build out your line. But yeah, I'm just like, do we need another B.A.T? How many B.A.Ts have we got now? We've like Crimson B.A.Ts and Snow B.A.Ts and mainline B.A.Ts and Grenadier B.A.Ts, and there was a Hiss Tank B.A.T, was there? You know what I mean? There's a lot of B.A.Ts. A lot of B.A.Ts. And I just don't know if I need another B.A.T in my life. In fact, this one and the Snow one, the the winter one are the only ones I've gone in on, because the winter one just felt like it had enough difference, and this one just doesn't feel like it's got enough difference for me, and the blast effects are, you know, not enough to swing me around. So there you go. And then we got the retro Tele-Viper, which I was trying to remember. I was looking over very exciting news, folks. I got a new computer for Christmas, but what that's also meant is that I've lost some lists that I kept, you know, that I referred back to. So I don't think we knew the retro Tele-Viper was coming, did we? Or did we? I should have checked before I started talking on the hot mic, but nonetheless, it has been leaked, and here it is, and this is what it looks like. And it's an interesting one, this one. The torso's different, the vest is different, the belt is different. They've obviously elected to go for the skin-coloured arms, you know, and they've gone Caucasian with that as they appeared in the animated series, which is interesting. Looks like it's a lighter blue, which is problematic for me, but I'll explain why in a minute. So yeah, they've changed stuff up. I'd be curious to know whether you'll get the watch and the little wrist computer thing, well, I've got it here, the little wrist computer thing, the original one had, but the mainline one had. But yeah, the vest is different, so they've definitely, again, drawn much stronger inspiration from that vintage cartoon design in there, which again makes me wonder about, you know, army building and how they'd look alongside each other and how they'd fit and what you'd do with it. The main thing that catches your eye is the head swaps that are included with this. So it's got the digital display with the words going across the visor like they have in the animated series, and the two in here, you probably can't see it very well in my little breakout window, but in fact I'll do a little zoom shot. Editor Chris, future Chris, put a little zoom in on the head, see if we can see that better, please. Thank you. Good lad. But they say intruder and what though, which are obviously, you know, direct references to images that were seen across the visors during the animated series, which is nice. And the fact that you got 3 heads in total coming with this is obviously kind of high value in that respect. So if you were army building and you bought a couple, you could then put all these different ones on. What I'd be interested to know is how different the blue is on the final result of the retro one compared to the blue on this, and therefore will it stand out too much if I just want to use one of the head swaps on my mainline one. What we're seeing there right now suggests to me that, yeah, the blues are too different and it'll look daft, but a curious idea, nice little nod to the vintage cartoon. Is that enough to swing me over to picking up these? Possibly it is. I have to admit, I sort of wish I knew about this before I bought this one. Because I've gone in on the mainline one, although I like the Trouble Bubble, actually. I don't buy a lot of vehicles, but I bought the Trouble Bubble because, you know, it's just iconic, and it's just in that smaller vehicles enough of a space that I can kind of get away with it with my storage and what have you. But is it enough? I don't know. I'm on the fence on this one. Let's see what happens. Well, we know what's going to happen. I'm going to get it anyway because I've got FOMO and I'm a fool with my money. So there were the retro cards, but J-Carn 7. No, hang on. This next one, a number of them are from J-Carn 7, but this next one's from, oh God, what's his name? Nathan K. Apologies, Nathan. I've forgotten your name. But this picture came out the back door was of Crystal Ball, another character who's been on my wish list for ages, and I'm so happy that he's finally coming out in the line. What we're seeing so far in this leak is an interesting design. I'd said, you know, regulars around these parts will know, I'd said that my desire, I really like the IDW continuity one with the big Charles Manson, you know, wacky hippie hair and massive beard and the clawed fingers and stuff, and with the long coat with the fur collar. And they've sort of taken a bit of that on board, but not all of it. So it looks like they've got the longer coat with the fur collar. I think, is that kind of clawy figures on his gloves there, clawy fingers. I can't quite tell. I've been squinting and zooming in, but I think they might be a little bit clawy. It's my hope that if they are, then the paint apps will perhaps give it the, you know, a bit of a metallic look like the one in the IDW continuity had. But the head sculpt is obviously not lined up to the IDW continuity, nor is it lined up to the classic vintage figure, I don't think. It's much more youthful. It's got this kind of vampiric vibe about it, the way the slick back hair with the little spit curl coming down. I'm pretty sure he's got some kind of pointy canines going on there to make him a little bit more intimidating, which I think, did the artwork, the original Crystal Ball, have pointy canines? Probably. But it's definitely more youthful, definitely a younger looking head sculpt there, which is a curious decision. But I'm excited to see how that reinterpretation pans out. The main thing with this leak is that the paint applications will bring out more of the detail. There's obviously paint applications that have not been applied to this prototype here. The gauntlets, the gloves, the gauntlets, and there's lots of details kind of in there. The belt buckle's got a little bit of detail in it, which the paint applications will bring out. Hopefully a different colour on the fur collar with a bit of a wash on it or something. You know, so there's more life and more depth yet to be given to this, which I think will make me even more excited. And this leak, therefore, doesn't quite, you know, is held back a little bit enough that is whet the appetite for a stream where we get a proper reveal. The shoulder pads as well, I noted in my little script here. There's loads of like little details up in those shoulder pads. I'm pointing at my monitor where I've got the picture, but you guys are seeing it here. The shoulder pad's got details in. So I'm hoping that the paint applications really bring it to life, and it's a bit more in line with kind of the way they, you know, the attention to detail they've applied to like the Dreadnought characters. So that those extra bits and bobs are in there to really bring it to life. And I'd be curious about the accessory selection. He's obviously got a holster on his thigh there, so there's a pistol of some description coming. So time will tell, but very excited to see another one off my wish list ticked off, and this guy, you know, is going to be a purchase for me. I can predict that now just on the basis of the prototype. Let's do Law and Order next. This leak has been knocking around for a little while, along with the next one, the Frag Viper. It's a good looking figure, this. Very happy to see another of the raw hides making their way out into the collection. Just big lob to go now, folks. And maybe a Chuckles repaint with a different Hawaiian shirt. I don't know, that'd be cool. But yeah, no, so nice to see another rawhide in the collection. That's something that appeals to me as a and not to repeat myself too many times, but you might be watching this maybe my first ever video of mine you've watched. The G.I. Joe, the movie, was my first ever introduction into animated G.I. Joe. Up until that point, I was an Action Force fan. I collected the figures based on the comic books that I collected. And so I've got a very fond place in my heart towards the movie. So great to see Law and Order in there. Figure looks like he's shaping up well. I've only plucked one picture, but if you go to the link to the Full Force Podcast's Facebook page down below, you can see that there's a few rotations there. He's got a little thing for his handcuffs that come with him. He's got his nightstick and a loop to pop that through. There's like a little pouch at the back there, though, but I think that's more about his doggy treats. I don't think there's actually for storage or anything. That's his doggy treats. The radio is cool on his vest with the little peg hole so he can, you know, hold it and plug it in and stuff. Holster on the vest. I like holsters on the vest there. I could do without. I'll probably take off the submachine gun, the little Uzi holster on the leg. I'm not so keen on that really, but I like that he's got the Uzi. He comes with all the dog command hand swaps similar to Mutton Junkyard did, which is nice. Yeah, just overall, just a good solid lump of a classic popular figure. Good classic colour scheme, vintage inspired, will fit into the collection well. I'm well up for this one for sure. Then the Frag Viper, again, we've known this is coming. We've seen the digital render of this. This looks to be a good solid, you know, three-dimensional recreation of the digital render we were shown. Is one of those balmy characters that appeals to me. I mean, that crazy weapon, the absolutely insane grenade launcher weapon, it looks just big and chunky and ridiculous, and I love it for all its big and chunky ridiculousness. So that's all good. I'm glad that they've reinterpreted the character design. They put a little nod in there to the original vintage blue sash piece by putting one on, but they've not made that the kind of, you know, the whole story there and made it a little bit more practical and modern contemporized, which makes sense. Helmet looks good, nice and big and mean and intimidating, although it looks a bit chunky, a bit big, and I don't know whether, again, could be the angle of the photo, but whether it's a bit sort of disproportionately sized to the rest of the body. I'm sure they said that it could be removed, so I'm expecting some sort of kind of balaclavaed head or something underneath there, similar to what they did with the Saw Viper figure. But I'm casting my memory back now. Did they say that when they revealed the digital render or not? If anyone can remember, please do clue me in and other viewers in the comments down below. So that's all good. The only thing, the two little kind of machine pistols from the Shockwave figure on the thigh holsters, I'm not sure about them. They protrude out a bit too much, and you kind of want him a more, like a more athletic-y, greasy movement throwing his grenades, don't you? So, I don't know, but overall, and I like the colours. I like that blue and brown combo. They really stand out to me. They're positive. And, who doesn't need more weird and wonderful Vipers in their collection? I certainly do. There's another cheeky little surprise that's leaked out, folks, and it's this pair, Slice and Dice. Again, to my knowledge, I don't think they've been, name only dropped, or was certainly not render revealed. So this came out the blue. Again, these were a little while ago. Like I said at the top of the video, I'm a bit behind the curve on this, but I've been busy. It's been Christmas. I know certainly know the popular characters. My man Eric, Charlotte Prime, will be pleased. He's a fan of these guys. And yeah, if you're into that kind of niche corner, the ninja martial artsy G.I. Joe space, then these are great additions. They've obviously got narrative importance from the comic books for sure. Whether they come as a double pack or a single pack, we don't have any details around that kind of stuff. I suspect, by the way they've been photoed together, that they perhaps will be a double pack, one would think. But I'm not bothered either way, because two single figures I think is slightly cheaper than than the double pack price, but that's all yet to be revealed and determined. But lots to like with what we're seeing there. Head swaps, helmet swaps, certainly that dragon mask on Dice looks awesome. Love the look of that. Just like, again, crazy, balmy, out there stuff that really appeals to me. There is also a more classically inspired design helmet there. Again, I'll encourage you to go and have a look at Chris's more Diagnostic 80's more fleshed out gallery of various angles and shots that he's got from J. Khan 7 there. I think there's possibly more to see on these guys. I'm not sure. Like Dice has got the open palm hands, but then there's obviously weapons, so there's going to be hand swaps and stuff. There's more to come with these guys. Slice is fine. I'd be interested to see how the the mask design, the mask effect in the final version looks. I also think the Slice, like Dice, looks quite busy. He's got lots going on, a bit like that version 2 Storm Shadow. Looks very busy, a lot going on with things and dangly bits, little skirts and weapons hanging off him and all that. Looks a bit kind of bulky and busy, whereas Slice looks a little bit more kind of sleek and less kind of busy, which is cool. But there's lots of lovely little sculpt details there, which again, like I said with Crystal Ball, it's my hope when the paint applications get applied, will really bring it to life. And while this is, again, whet the appetite like Crystal Ball did, not so much that I'm more excited to see the final product from this leak here. It's not kind of giving the whole game away. But yeah, I think there might be some more weapons, more hands. I think there's more to see with this pair. Then we had a leak of the Legacy, the prototype of the Legacy Firefighter. We've seen the digital render of this guy, and so that's all good and fine, coming together well. I said this at the time of the digital render. I've not got much more to add following seeing the leak here. The high-vis stripes and the reflective stripes in there look to be coming together really well. They caught my eye. I thought they were interesting on the digital render. The accessory selection looks good. It's just one of those kind of generically useful characters that you'll be able to apply to your collection full stop. If you collect Marvel Legends or whatever, any other 6-inch line, you can find a space for this Firefighter in the mix somehow. So that's good. That's solid, The accessory selection is good. Yeah, it's just all-round solid figure. I'll definitely be picking this one up, and I think it's a really inventive reuse of the Snow Job book there too. So yeah, not a lot to add really, over and above what I've said before when we saw the digital render. Just solid, rock solid. This, and the leak is just confirming that it's going in the right direction. Okay, I'm going to swing back round to the retro. I saved this one right till the end, because I mentioned before that there was a bit of a kind of surprise in there, and it's this guy here. Who is this guy? The leading theory is that this is a prototype for a green shirt, a generic army builder green shirt character for the Joe side of things, which would make sense. you know, I think would make sense. It's certainly got just the kind of bland green shirt kind of look about it. Beyond that, the only other kind of piece of speculation I've seen out and about in the community is that with it having the same visored helmet as the retro cardback Duke, whether it's possibly a short fuse, but yeah, I don't know. The loadout, the weapon selection that's on display there doesn't speak to short fuse. It doesn't have the mortar in it. So I don't know who this is. Yeah, but an interesting one nonetheless. It's clearly a retro cardback figure with the inclusion of the foot stand. I say clearly, that maybe there's a change coming in there, but it's got retro vibes. But yeah, who is it? It's got a head swap and a neck swap, which would indicate that perhaps they're different ethnic origins, which would also speak to the green shirt. You know, just putting a couple of different races in the mix there. I don't know, and I don't know how excited I am or not of this one. I mean, it's obviously just a total Frankenstein reuse to make a classy look green shirt, which. I mean, if you've got any suggestions as to what else it could be, I can't see it being short fuse. The inclusion of the head swap, unless they're going for like unless this is a legacy figure and they're just going for like, you know, US soldier. They did suggest that there was going to be more, although they said it was going to be emergency service types, folks, didn't they? So I don't know. Anyway, speculate wildly down below in the comments, please, folks. Let me know what your thoughts are on this one. But this was a cheeky little leaky surprise as well. And there we go then, folks. So there's my little rundown of the leaks that have been spurting out. It's a leak. Does it spurt? Trickling out. That's a more appropriate. The leaks that have been trickling out over sort of December and into January there. I hope you enjoyed the sharing of my thoughts. If you did, do all the YouTubey stuff down below. But I'd encourage you to head to the comments and share your thoughts too. Maybe I will get round to making a kind of collector thought of the day around the leaks themselves, but now I've made this video and been a part of the problem myself. Maybe a bit hypocritical to do so. I don't know, but I've alluded to it in this video nonetheless. But hopefully these announced production delays are not going to be too painful, and that the disparity between these leaks coming out and getting us excited about the figures, especially the characters we hadn't seen up until this point, and that they'd surprised us with, like Slice and Dice. You know, the distance of time is not going to be so significant that it becomes frustrating. You know, we've been there before. However, the sad truth is, I suspect that will be the case. But there we go. Thank you very much for watching. Pleasure to have you with me here once again, folks. Swing back around for another video sometime soon. But in the meantime, have a great day, and I'll see you next time. All right? Ta-ra now.